Am I the a-hole for making a scene after my sister-in-laws announced their pregnancies at my birthday as a gift? My 24 female boyfriend, 24 male, has two sisters, Emily 30 female and Diane 32 female. They are both married and trying for a baby. Diane announced her first pregnancy at Mother's Day this year. She gifted her mother a baby shoe and a positive pregnancy test. Everyone was happy, and even more when Emily told everyone that she was also trying for a baby. Later that evening, I texted them both saying, "Congratulations, I'm happy for you." It's a bit weird for me and my boyfriend because we recently learned that I'm sterile. I hope it didn't cut the mood, but I'm really excited for you both. They sent me some texts reassuring me and everything went well. Sadly, Diane lost her baby 2 months after this party. Fast forward to last week. We, mother-in-law, both sister-in-laws and I, met for a girls' night. My mother-in-law wanted to organize a party for my birthday, so she asked me if that's okay for me and what do I want. I said fine, but birthdays are tough for me. When I grew up, my parents always made my birthdays about them. They never invited my friends or close family. They always invited their colleagues and friends, and they had big parties where they drank a lot of alcohol. So after, I wanted to be sure to have a small party with close family, 12 persons, and nothing really big. The party was yesterday. I was helping my mother-in-law when both my sister-in-laws and their husbands arrived. They both also brought their in-laws and some friends. So what was supposed to be a small party ended up with more than 40 persons. My mother-in-law was a bit fuming because we had to go buy more drinks and foods for uninvited guests. The party went well until it was gift time. I opened gift for my mother-in-law and father-in-law, then one for my boyfriend. It was sweet. Next, my sister-in-laws gifted me one small package for them both, which is fine as I asked for small gifts if they were willing to give one. I opened it, and it was a small size shirt, a more XL, and as saying best future aunt. There was also written with a marker pen ×2. The package also contained 2 positive pregnancy tests and a photo of them both touching their bellies. I looked them in the eye asking, "Are you pregnant?" They both said yes. Emily took the shirt out of my hands and showed it to everyone. As I was starting to cry, I ran outside, my boyfriend following me. I had a panic attack. When I came back, everyone was happy and they were all congratulating the pregnant couples. I felt really sad. My boyfriend talked to his parents and we left the party without saying anything to anybody else. I received, in the evening, some nasty texts from some of my boyfriend's family saying things like, "Why did you ruin their announcement? It was only a birthday party. Please grow up." I do feel bad. My boyfriend is planning on telling them to buzz off, but I don't want him to ruin his relationships with his family. My father-in-law and mother-in-law called me to apologize, saying things got out of hand. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. It's your party and you can cry if you want to. I think your sister-in-laws both knew that you can't have children, right? Why would they want to co-opt your birthday to make it about them? And then not be compassionate when you got emotional? I don't know if everyone in your boyfriend's family are a-holes, but whoever sent you the text about ruining the announcement certainly is. The other ones may just be a little tone-deaf. They knew it, but when I first messaged them about my sterility, I told them that I'm happy for any pregnancy, and I don't want them to change anything just for accommodating me. Maybe they've seen this as a green light for what happened at my birthday party? I think they're feeling bad, because they haven't texted me anything yet, so maybe they understand that they hurt me. I really don't know. No, it's not a green light at all. It's still your birthday party, about you. Not wanting to change anything does not mean smearing your pain in your face. And not apologizing? Clearly they might see you're hurt, but certainly don't feel like they're wrong. So they learned you can't have kids, and really thought that announcing their pregnancies at your birthday party was a good idea? That is unbelievably cruel. Whether they are intentionally doing it or not, it really sounds like they're rubbing it in your face and expecting, no, demanding you be okay with it. Like, "Oh, sucks you can't have kids, but we can, so be happy for us." Both you and your boyfriend are not the a-hole here. Everyone else is, especially the sister-in-laws. Not even just announce it, but turn it into their gift with peed-on pregnancy tests. Like, it wouldn't have been so bad if at some point at a party they shared their news, since it was a family gathering, but the way they did it is just cringe. Definitely not the a-hole. Next story. Am I the a-hole for only taking my nieces in and not their dad after my sister passed away? My female 33, sister female 36, passed away a month ago because of cancer. It's devastating, and words can't express how we feel. Her husband struggled to pay off debts and has asked me and my husband to take him and my nieces, ages 13 and 16, in for some time. I have to say, I'm not in good terms with him. We've had more than our fair share of disagreements in the past. He tried to sue me and my husband for my own mother's house, which I'm living in with my husband and daughter. But he claimed he needed money to pay for my sister's treatment, and this was the only way to get it after we, my brother and I, refused to help. It's a long story, but we're not in good terms. So I agreed to only take my nieces in, but not him. He tried to negotiate this, saying his daughters are grieving and need him, their remaining parent, to be around. I said he could see them during visits, and that was it. My husband agreed with me at first. Then my brother-in-law showed up with my nieces days ago, and I only let the girls in but turned him away after he tried to talk me into letting him stay. We had a huge argument, and the girls went inside crying after their dad left, repeatedly saying they want him. My husband is backing out of this, saying we might be making a mistake separating the girls from their dad when they're grieving. My aunt berated me, saying I messed up entirely here. I argued that it's my home, and I don't feel comfortable with him staying after what he's done. She called me selfish and bitter and said I'm making it more difficult for the girls who just lost their mom. Now the girls are quiet, but my 16-year-old niece keeps arguing about wanting her dad with them. My husband still thinks we're making a mistake and making the girls resent me for what I did to their dad who's grieving. Not the a-hole. While it stinks that you can't be 100% supportive for the girls, it's his fault. You have to protect yourself. He's sued once. If he starts living there and establishes residency, he could try to squat. If other family are upset, they can take them in. It's OP's choice to help or not. I do not see the reason why she should let someone hostile to her live in the same house. I think it's already a lot that she offered to take in the girls while she did not have to. Yes, it's her sister's kids, but honestly, not everybody would do that in the same situation. If he wants to stay with the kids, he needs to find another arrangement. He is the parent, not OP, not the a-hole. We're all making the assumption it's actually OP's house. She even states it's her mother's house that they are living in. Oddly worded. She never once says she inherited a house, and bets money the inheritance is in question. I see a lot of YTA posts, but I'll risk the downvotes to say, this guy sued you. Was there any merit to it? Sounds like it was found in your favor. I wouldn't want him in my house either. The problem is, once he moves in, he's a tenant, and you can't force him out. Then you're even more of a perceived jerk for making them homeless if it becomes intolerable. He did not abide by your terms, but showed up on your doorstep with no plan except to beg you, even though you told him what you could agree to. He said okay, but then tried to make it suit him. All these relatives could take him in or support him, right? Why is it all on you? Your brother-in-law is presumably in his mid to late 30s and only sought help from you? It's all on one estranged sister-in-law? This is an impossible situation, and frankly, nothing you would have done would have been enough. How can you ask him for money for the higher food, /utilities /gas expenses when he's grieving and broke? How can you not give him your car to get around when he's grieving and broke? How can you ask him about getting a job and getting back on his feet when he's grieving and broke? If your relatives wanted to help, they could send him money and help him get on his feet, rather than come after you to take on a family. I can't judge this, because in some ways you are an a-hole, and in some ways you are being completely irrational, not wanting an enemy in your house for a long indeterminate amount of time and at your expense. But you were willing to help out the children and did not abandon them. You were willing to help up to your boundary, and your husband agreed. The flying monkeys just don't want the burden back on them, so they will come after you hard, as pressuring you is the easier solution than writing him a check or taking him in. You're voicing the concern I also have. He sued OP once over a tenancy of the house. Once he moves in and stays more than a few weeks, he is a tenant. Getting rid of a tenant is not easy. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not giving half of my mom's inheritance to my cousin? Plus update. I, 37 male, was approached by my uncle, trustee of my grandmother's estate, 95 female still alive, a month ago, and was told that her irrevocable life insurance trust, ILIT, of $800,000 was to be split equal between him, $400,000, and my mom $400,000 upon my grandmother's death. My grandmother pays the premium each year out of her estate. Now, sadly, my mother died of cancer 2 years ago, and per the rules of the ILIT, I have become the sole beneficiary of my mom's portion of $400,000. Now, a week after being told of this trust, I received a call from my uncle stating that it was now my grandmother's wishes that I give his son, my cousin, 32 male, $200,000 of the $400,000 I inherited from my mom. When asked what money he will be giving his son, my cousin, out of his portion of the $400,000, he said nothing. He will keep the full $400,000 because he is the son of my grandmother. If I were to agree, he would have me sign a contract saying I will give up $200,000, as legally he cannot change the rules of the trust or me as a beneficiary. Fast forward another week, and now I'm getting angry calls from my grandmother who has dementia, saying that she wants my cousin and I to have equal money, $200,000 each. It has evolved from $100,000 to $2,000 and now $200,000. She's unable to articulate where the money is coming from. It alludes to it coming from me, my money, my will. My grandmother seems to have no knowledge of the trust being the source of the money, making it clear that my uncle has been coaching her and hiding the details of how the trust money is being dispersed. To make matters personally worse, my grandmother recently asked if I wanted to be written out of the family because I'm being greedy. I have also received a text from my aunt, uncle's wife, saying that I'm a bad grandson and have no relationship with my grandmother, etc. All untrue. I love my grandmother dearly and want this to stop. Now, another issue is that my uncle is saying that there will be no money in her estate. Well, at the time of her death due to her high cost of living, jazz band, movie theater, and 5-star restaurant and lobby at her retirement villa. And thus, no money for me or my cousin will be available from her estate. This is why he wants my mom's and my inheritance to be split up for his son, who he says will get nothing from my grandmother. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to split my mom's portion of her inheritance of $400,000? Now my portion due to her death, with my uncle's son, my cousin? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole and lawyer up. Your uncle is up to something not good. I'm going to consult today. This is elder abuse. Your uncle is greedy and manipulating your grandmother. You are technically inheriting from your mom, and your cousin can inherit from his dad. If your uncle wants your cousin to have money, he can pass down what granny leaves to him. Your cousin is lucky to still have both his parents. You don't have that privilege, but that in no way requires you to share your mother's inheritance. If anything, it's a small conciliation for being without her. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole, but this sounds like a red flag for elder mistreatment. Please report it to the authorities. Please. My father has been pushing me to do just this. I'm an attorney, although not yours. This definitely sounds like elder mistreatment, and most police departments have a special unit that investigates. Some states also have adult protective services, which may be applicable here given that you say your grandma has dementia. Report this now, before it becomes a huge probate issue when your grandma eventually passed away. Edit. Thanks to all who have put in their advice. It's amazing to get an unbiased opinion. I have a consultation with an attorney at 1:30 p.m. today. We'll update all upon further guidance. Update. Spoke with attorney. Uncle is clearly in the wrong. It's an irrevocable trust and was set up this way and not to be changed. The money is solely mine as the beneficiary of my mother who passed. There is no legal standing my uncle has to demand the scheme he concocted. I have no obligation to do anything. If he wants his son to have money, then he can give him money. Not my mom's, nor my responsibility. He said my uncle is being very greedy. He suggested I ask for a copy of the trust, and if it's not received, then he will demand it in a legal letter. As for the elder mistreatment, he said my uncle is definitely unduly influencing my grandmother against his fiduciary duties. He suggested I speak with my cousin and see if he can calm my uncle down to give him a last shot of coming to his senses. If the calls increase from my grandmother, then I could register a mistreatment claim and take further legal action. Last story. Am I the a-hole for asking our daughter to spend less time with her boyfriend? A year ago, my husband, 62 male, and I, 64 female, became semi-empty nesters once my daughter, 26 female, moved out of our home and to her first apartment. We miss her a ton, but it's been great to see her grow up. We still have our son 20 male left in the house, and we are waiting until he graduates so my husband and I can hopefully move abroad one day. A few months ago, my daughter has started dating someone, but we haven't even had a chance to meet him yet, and learning about her boyfriend has been like pulling teeth. We only found out she was dating when she sent a picture of herself to us one day. It looked like someone else had took it, and we asked who did. She said a friend. We asked who that friend was. When my daughter left home, she didn't have any friends at the time, and it was nice to hear she had made one. Even then, she beat around the bush giving details about who this friend was and how she met them. Anyway, we eventually learned of her boyfriend, but we have noticed she is spending lots of time with him. When we invite her to hang out with us on the weekend, she always declines and says she has something planned with her new beau. When we chat on the phone, she is often with her boyfriend at home, or out and about and so on. I understand this is her first relationship, and surely she is very excited, but it hurts a bit that she suddenly has no time for us. Last time we spoke on the phone, I jokingly said after she declined our last invite, "You know you can still spend time with your old parents, right?" But she took it much seriously than I intended. Is it so wrong to ask our daughter to spend more time together? Just some thoughts. The fact that you didn't allow her to date until 20 is ridiculous. It's also ridiculous you believe that this is her first relationship. Newsflash, she got used to hiding things from you. Why don't you leave her alone and work on whatever parts of how you treat her make her feel she has to do this? You're the a-hole. Seriously, when Opie said learning about her boyfriend is like pulling teeth, I was ready to say, take a hint. Your daughter doesn't want to tell you stuff. You may want to reflect on that. Gave me flashbacks to when I started dating my now husband. I had a horrible relationship with my father as a child, and the second I moved out of the house, I tried to keep my life as private as possible from them. A decade later and we're much happier. But damn, when you have a hyper-controlling parent, especially around dating, you become an expert at hiding things. Ugh, I really feel for Opie's daughter. Opie, if you read this, please try to at least take this to heart. The further you pry, the more you push your daughter away. I eventually cut all contact with my parents for nearly 4 years because they did exactly what you were doing. I only approached them because I needed to heal and move on. You are hurting your daughter so much. Please stop and let her live her life before it's too late. You're the a-hole, but you can easily stop being one. Please do. Am I the a-hole for refusing to help my sister with her child custody case? My 37 female sister, 30 female, is in the process of divorcing her husband of 3 years. The divorce has taken a messy turn, and they're battling for custody of their toddler. My sister and I haven't spoken in nearly 6 years because she accused me of using her identity to get an apartment when I was in active alcoholism. I'm now in long-term sobriety, but at the time I told her I didn't do it, and she refused to believe me. She tried to have me arrested, but the apartment complex's video surveillance showed it was actually someone she didn't know who had stolen her identity from a place she used to work. She never apologized to me for accusing me of this, and she had told everyone and anyone who would listen that I had done it. However, when she realized it wasn't me, she still didn't backtrack or tell anyone otherwise. Fast forward to now. I'm sober for a few years, and my partner's sister is one of the top-rated family law lawyers in our area. The lawyer my sister currently has is terrible, and she lost custody of her daughter today. My mother called and said my sister called my sister-in-law, but she won't take her case because she doesn't feel comfortable knowing how it would make me feel, or not knowing. My mom wanted me to call sister-in-law and tell her that my sister needs help and to please take her case. I told her no, and that is not my responsibility to help her. I have never met my niece because my sister refuses to be around me even still. She got mad and said I'm an a-hole because I should be willing to help despite our past. For me, it feels like it's not a past at all, and still very much the present. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. May I make a suggestion? Call your sister-in-law and tell her that you appreciate the way she handled your sister. Let sister-in-law know that you'd prefer her not to take the case. And if anyone in your family calls her and tells her otherwise, they're lying. I will tomorrow. My sister-in-law has been such a wonderful support. I'm so thankful for her friendship and sisterhood. You're correct that I should contact her tomorrow. Not the a-hole, but info. What did she do to lose custody? She was caught with a DWI last month. Ex-husband called for emergency temporary custody and got it. Today they went to court and full custody was granted to the father. Not the a-hole. Congrats on your sobriety. Your sister has severed her relationship with you. It has been years. Why would you put in a good word for her? Your sister is still actively shunning you. You haven't met her kid. Your mother is wrong. Also, your sister-in-law is not the only good family law lawyers around. Why pick your sister-in-law? If she lost custody and your sister-in-law was her attorney, somehow it would be your fault. I'm assuming that your sister uses her married name. Your sister-in-law wouldn't have known she was your sister. Did your sister try to use your connection with your sister-in-law to get a discount or some other favor? I think your sister-in-law sounds great. I also think that she dodged a bullet and your sister would be a horrible client. My mom said she did call and tell sister-in-law who she was, that she was my sister. That's how sister-in-law knew because I have confided in her my past. She knows everything I've done, good and bad, and knows that I didn't do that bad thing I was accused of. My sister-in-law's a gem, and you're very right. Thank you kindly. Edit. Thank you all very much. I still question myself and my intentions a lot, since I got sober and started making changes to be a better person. It helped to hear everyone say the things I was thinking. I appreciate all the feedback very much. Much love. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not punishing my brother for cheating on his wife? My brother Jake has been with his wife Kate since high school, now separated. They have 2 kids that are both my godkids, and me and him are basically best friends. Our sister Claire has been friends with Kate since middle school. We're each other's maid of honors and still very close. In the last 6 months, Jake confided in me that he fell for his coworker and let things slip into physical affair. I encouraged him to tell Kate and be honest about it so to not live a lie. He told her. She was originally in denial and wanted to work through things, but Jake said he'd be lying to himself, and they are now in the midst of divorce proceedings. He and a coworker are now in a relationship. When I met her, I'll admit it was weird seeing him with someone else, but they weirdly seemed like the most compatible couple I've ever met. They have way more in common than he ever did with Kate. They look at each other with such admiration. And despite how it started, I honestly think they could be together forever. I know I could be wrong there, but that's my hunch. So Jake and I are still really tight. We recently took our kids to a festival together this weekend. Just me and my kids and him and his. No partners. We had a great time, and he was telling me how happy he's been, and the kids seem to be adjusting to it much better than expected. I know it's all a process, but I'm glad he's doing well, and I'm glad to have him in my life. Well, our sister Claire is mad that I'm still hanging out with Jake. She's saying how she can't believe I have the audacity to approve of him being with a mistress, and that I should be trying to convince him to try to work things out with Kate, who is apparently still hoping for that. Or I should be no contact with him until he realizes how wrong he is, and makes things up to her. Am I the a-hole for staying tight with him, helping him a little financially till the divorce/child support situation is figured out, and supporting his new relationship that seems to make him happy? I feel bad for Kate and all, but I just feel like they're a case of people who got married too young, and now he found someone who's a better fit for him. Edit. Regarding the child support. Kate makes about double him, and her job involves a ton of travel to where she's gone about 75% of the time. Has been a primary caretaker of the kids most of their lives. She doesn't want a new job post-divorce, so he will continue to have primary custody. Of course, that means the other parent who makes more will pay child support. It's for the kids. He's not pursuing alimony for himself. Your brother was selfish and blew up his family the worst way possible. That's going to have repercussions and fractures. You don't need to punish him, but it is kind of gross he's riding off into the sunset with his new side chick, while his ex is deeply mourning. Don't condone it, but it is not your job to punish him. Going not the a-hole, but with some strong ick. I think the gross thing is trying to manipulate the brother back into a loveless marriage. The end game isn't just to get him to break up with a mistress, but to take back his ex-wife. Why? Because it's convenient for her? He doesn't love her, and familial shaming won't fix that. He's not an a-hole for leaving, he's just an a-hole for not having the balls to do it sooner and cheating. But they weirdly seemed like the most compatible couple I've ever met. They have way more in common than he ever did with Kate. They look at each other with such admiration. And despite how it started, I honestly think they could be together forever. I know I could be wrong there, but that's my hunch. Almost every relationship starts out this way. It's a young relationship, and they're still in the honeymoon phase when things are new and exciting. You didn't mention any major issues your brother had with his ex, and that left her solely because he wanted to get some action. That is so unbelievably selfish, especially since he has 2 kids. In a couple months or years when that initial flame burns out, your brother will probably look back with regret for destroying his family for short-term gratification. OP's comments make it even worse. His brother blames his ex, the breadwinner, by a far margin for the fact that he cheated since she was working all the time, but now he's going after her for financial support. So she's off working and making most of the money needed to support the family. He starts an affair, cheats on her for a while, finally ditches her to run off with a mistress, blames her, and now he wants to use the money she was making to build a comfortable life for him and a side chick. If she's working all the time, does that mean that he dropped his kids off somewhere so that he can bang his mistress? Anybody who is able to do that is a terrible person, and I see why the sister thinks so poorly of Opie as well. The kids apparently spent a lot of time over at Opie's house. Opie mentions this in a reply. So not just somewhere, he was probably dropping them off with Opie, who if so, wasn't just keeping quiet about the cheating, but actively enabling it. Next story. Am I the a-hole because I want to separate our funds if my husband continues to let his 22-year-old daughter live at home rent-free without doing anything or starting a life? I, Sarah, 38 female, and my husband, Josh, 40 male, have been together for almost 15 years. Josh has a daughter, Lori, who is almost 23. I've been in her life since she was 5. Lori came to live with us when she was 16 and ended up staying with us until graduation. I actually enjoyed having her around. It made house feel more complete. However, Lori has always had a mean streak, which I've kind of brushed off thinking it's just some teenage angst. Lori's mother is manic-depressive, and there's a concern that Lori might carry this as well. But nobody really wants to discuss it openly. Lori doesn't talk to anyone in the house, preferring to spend her days in a room playing video games until it's time for work. When she does emerge, there's this palpable tension and she often appears annoyed. We get one-word answers and feel like we're walking on eggshells. She does have a part-time job that she seems to like, but she has admitted it's not a long-term career goal. As her stepmom, I've never set rules or imposed consequences. My husband wanted to handle his daughter's issues himself. The only thing I requested is that she helps with the dishes on the days she doesn't have a car, as I have to drive her to work and pick her up. She never pays for gas, and when I ask her to do the dishes, she just leaves them. If she makes coffee, it's enough for 4 people, but she never replaces what she uses. My husband usually ended up doing the dishes to avoid any confrontation. He doesn't want to enforce rules on her either, saying she's an adult and he can't make her do anything. This has been going on for 4 years, and it's causing tension in our marriage. So I asked my husband if we could start separating our finances. I suggested that if he wanted to continue taking care of Lori, then I would give him the money needed for bills and keep the rest for myself. This didn't go over well, and we're currently not speaking. I'm even considering staying with my cousin until we can resolve this, but it doesn't seem like it's going to happen soon. Am I the a-hole here for wanting to separate our finances because of this situation with Lori? Any advice or insights would be appreciated. Thanks. Edit. Lori has had her own car since February of this year and is paying for her own gas. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. My partner is 24 years old with bipolar and is a teacher. Bipolar doesn't make you an a-hole or lazy. It's time for her to grow up, get some help, and start paying her own bills. You should definitely stop giving her rides to work and make her figure out her own day-to-day matters. She's an adult according to your husband. Time to act like one. This. Tell your husband that according to him, she's an adult, and therefore it's not your responsibility to support her financially. He's cuddling her, and that's his choice, but you and your money don't have to be a part of that. The most important part of being an adult is telling the people you live with that they can't make you do dishes. Or them understanding that doing the dishes and paying for groceries is a prerequisite for her to keep living under their roof. Not the a-hole. It's time for Lori to get a wake-up call and realize that not everyone is going to support her financially forever. It sounds like she needs more responsibilities. Could you work out something where she pays her part of the phone bill or at least pays for gas? She's clearly making money, so some of that should be going towards you guys for supporting her other financial needs. I had to do this, and it honestly helped me get prepared for the big world. 100%. Lori's disrespecting Opie in her home and her father is enabling it. Why does she need to financially support her on top of that? She's an adult and can take responsibility for her actions. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband he's an idiot and threatening to divorce him for co-signing on a $1 million home that isn't ours? My husband, 38 male, and I, 39 female, have been happily married for a little over 2 years. We own a home and do quite well for ourselves financially. He generally maintains the finances for our family. My husband's mother and sister live a few hours away, and I have always felt they were very abusive towards him. They speak down to him, disrespect him,
and essentially make him feel as if it's his responsibility to clean up their financial mishaps and their poor choices. Now to the AITA part. My husband's sister and mother have been renting a home from another family member well under market value, at least $3,000 less than what it would rent for now. The owner of family member has decided to sell the home. Mind you, it has been trashed and not maintained by the sister and mother. They have little to no respect for the fact that they have had it so good for so long. The owner gave them 90 days to vacate the premises. Immediately, the sister and mother began asking my husband to help them buy a home. They live and work in one of the most expensive housing markets in the US. Additionally, they do not qualify for the type and amount of loan they would need to even buy a modest home in the area. Lower credit score, no major assets, etc., and they refuse to move to a more affordable area. After a lot of back and forth, they finally asked my husband to co-sign on a very basic older home that costs $1 million. My immediate reaction was to tell them absolutely not, and I voiced my concerns to my husband. He is usually very level-headed and financially savvy, but I had to be the one to push him and his family for some sort of plan of how this would all work. To go from paying $1,000 a month in rent to well over $6,000 a month on a mortgage not even including bills seems questionable at best, and a terrible decision at worst. I asked my husband why they can't move into a modest apartment and make a plan to buy in a year or two, but he didn't really have an answer, but agreed that they absolutely need a plan in order for him to engage. Again, after several weeks of back and forth with his family, they had yet provide any solid plan on how they would pay the mortgage, bills, and avoid default. Who would be responsible for repairs? No idea. Finally, last week before I left for a work trip, my husband told me he would not be co-signing on the home and that they had done zero planning. I was so relieved and was able to relax on my trip. Well, I returned home at the end of the week and was taking a shower when he walks in and tells me he co-signed for the home. To say I was taken aback is an understatement. I went through all the range of emotions in a short amount of time, but it wasn't until the next morning that what he had done had really hit me. He chose to make a risky investment with people who don't respect him, and did it behind my back after assuring me he wouldn't. He kept trying to tell me I was safe from any potential impact, but I don't understand how that could be. I asked him to walk me through the conversation, the plans, and any assurance that our own assets were safe. He couldn't. He then had the audacity to tell me, at least I decided to tell you. That is when I lost it. I felt absolutely betrayed and disrespected. I cried and screamed and told him how he cannot see how they use him. I told him I was questioning his integrity and our relationship. We are also in the midst of the IVF process, and it has been extremely hard on me and my body. I told him I didn't think he deserved to be the father of my children, and if we did have children, his family would have limited contact and not allowed around my children. There are other incidents of how they have treated me with such disrespect that even I have distanced myself from them. That is also another reason why my husband decided for us to move away from them. Back to the subject. At first he was remorseful, but then he got defensive of his family. Even though myself and many others have tried to show him how abusive they are. I told him if he wanted any chance of making our relationship right, he was to immediately work with his mother and sister to write a contract that he had majority ownership in the home, so that if they continued to make poor decisions and default, he could sell the house. Well, to no one's surprise, his family would not agree to these terms, because they believe living there is enough to solidify it's theirs. For the last 3 days, I've asked over and over again why he made this drastic decision without a plan. My friends agree that this is a divorce-worthy offense, but the reality is besides this, we have a wonderful life together and I love him dearly. So Reddit, am I the a-hole for calling my husband stupid and threatening divorce over co-signing the loan? Some additional details for anyone interested. His sister is actually older than him. He has managed to keep his financial success fairly well hidden from his family, but due to the co-sign process, they now know exactly what assets he has, and I'm certain they will expect more from him. Before asking my husband to co-sign, they didn't even attempt to take out the loan for the home on their own. I assume they expect that having him on the loan will give them carte blanche on destroying the home, or default on the loan because he will pay in order not to mess up his own credit and assets. His family does not care for me and are likely jealous at the life I have with my husband and how they get less from him. Though my husband maintains the finances, we bring in roughly the same income, so this is not a case of my husband having full control over financial choices. Not the a-hole. He has shown you to be irresponsible. What happens if you have a college fund for your kids and his family feels entitled? Please do not have a kid with him. Unless he could somehow get out of this mess and go no contact with them, I would definitely divorce him. Even then, I don't see how we would rebuild trust. I would have to go through every single account monthly, and I don't know if it's worth it. The blatant lie and then doing it behind her back, how on earth do you get past that? If they divorce now, then this stays with him. He just lost their retirement/college fund, just gave it away, and will most likely keep on doing it. It's $1 million, with zero equity for him. OP, I'm so sorry you had trouble conceiving, but I'm glad you are not tied by a kid to this mess. Not the a-hole. Yeah, even if she loves him, divorce him and separate all finances completely, so she's off the hook for the debt when they screw her husband over.
I'm female 34, losing my family because they think that I hid a fact from them that my ex, now sisters, female 28, husband male 35, is abusive. I don't want to go into all the details because it is long, boring, and still painful. Some bits at least. But I met my ex 4 years ago and I at least was madly in love with him. For about 2 years, I was blissfully happy until I took him home for Christmas and I caught him making out with my sister. It devastated me. My ex tried to apologize, kept trying to get me back, but I didn't want anything to do with him anymore. And 3 months later, my sister and him were expecting their first. Now they're married with 2 children. My family forgave them eventually when children were in the picture. I kept my distance, but I have met them on the occasional family gathering. I still feel hurt by my sister, but other than that, I'm good. Then last weekend, my mom asked me to come home for something urgent, and there was my dad too. They told me that they were disappointed in me for not being honest about my ex being violent. I was shocked, but my mom told me that he is physically harming my sister. That's when my sister came to my parents, and I saw her face and cut lip. I was shocked, and I really couldn't say anything other than I never knew. My sister became very upset and started yelling at me, asking what the heck I meant by that. That I was so much better than her that he didn't hurt me? I said no, but no amount of swearing that I didn't know and that he must have hidden his true nature would convince them. My mom just told me to leave and said she was very disappointed. I have cried every day now, remembering my sister's face, but I just don't know why this happened to her. He was so very kind and gentle with me, but I can't explain why he was that way. I don't know how people like him work, but according to my sister, if he is abusive once, then he must be like this all the time. I have no experience with people like this, so I couldn't answer her. But he has been harming her since the beginning of their relationship. When I calmed down, I texted my mother because she wasn't answering my calls. That my sister is right, and that people like my ex are just so. But that maybe the circumstances is different. My sister is younger. I knew that some men show their true colors after marriage, or after children, etc. My relationship with him wasn't of the same nature. I tried every explanation, but this just seemed to trigger her further because she texted me back that I'm a liar, that hid the truth from them, instead of warning my sister. She asked if I thought I was better than my sister not to have been harmed by the same man. I was shocked. Like, is it about the woman? Better women get mistreated less? I couldn't believe what I was reading. I texted her that she was disgusting to say something like this, but I regretted it so much. Now, nobody from my family is talking to me. Not even my father who I talk to on a daily basis. I don't know what to do or how to help. I really need help explaining why my sister's husband is what he is. I feel so guilty. Now for the top advice. So your family, who have excused your sister's awful betrayal, are mad at you because you could have magically foreseen your ex's true nature? Someone who's so messed up in the head that fooled around with your sister right under your nose at a family event? I don't know where to start. Cut all of them off and get therapy to figure out why you'd be able to twist all this up in your own head so that you're the bad guy. Yeah, this family's literal garbage. Better off without them by a million miles. Viking funeral for the family. Let them all burn and pile. They're jumping to some pretty massive logic gaps to justify this. Harm a bit. And it is OP's fault and not sister and more husband's actions? I mean, it is not like sister tested the waters and looked for red flags before humping her now awful husband. A million miles may not be enough. All of this, like the fact that he was a cheater, didn't clue them in that he's not great news. If anything, sister thought she was special and did never mistreat her. He's just had more time to escalate during his marriage. She got pregnant, then they got married, and the real him came out. If you had married him and had a baby with him, he probably would have mistreated you too. There are people that once they lock down their significant other, the real them comes out. This isn't your fault. Instead of blaming him, they are blaming you. He is the POS. I wonder what sister wants out of this. Blame OP because she brought home a man that little sister could steal? Sister believes it must have happened to OP, and she should have been fairly warned. Even if she was an a-hole to her sister, she didn't deserve that kind of treatment. I can understand being really upset knowing the same man hit her but not you, but the family's backwards. They should be ostracizing him instead of OP. No offense, but why do you want this family? Your sister betrayed you. They took her side. You left and did not want anything to do with your sister. People like your ex have a good way of hiding it. This isn't your fault. He is a trashy person. But I will say, find a family that will treat you better, not one that will always make you the one at fault for things that aren't. And like another poster pointed out, what did they expect from a cheater? Didn't she get all the signs she needed then that he wasn't a good person? Next story. My parents disowned me for ruining my sister's relationship, but I'm happier and healthier than ever. My older sister was going out with a guy who worked as a psychologist. She used to pressure me into booking an appointment with him for the longest time, until I informed him about her antics, which put a strain on their relationship, as accepting me as a patient would be an ethical violation and he could easily lose his license over this. My parents were mad at me for not going along with my sister's demands, but things calmed down once she made up with her boyfriend. It didn't last long though. After some time, my sister started bragging about knowing some spicy details from her boyfriend's therapy sessions. I thought she was bluffing at first, since she has a tendency to just say whatever to make herself look more important, but I was apparently wrong. During one of the family dinners, in the presence of all the aunts and uncles, my sister started to talk about her boyfriend's patients with a lot of details. As someone who is currently attending therapy for over a year, I was appalled. I didn't know what to do with this for the longest time. I even thought about reporting her boyfriend, but I didn't. I couldn't do it, since there was no physical proof of what my sister said, and I'm pretty sure no one would attest to what happened at the dinner for the sake of keeping the peace, as always. But oh god, I'm glad I haven't reported this poor man, since he himself was pretty much unaware of everything. Since this post is already long enough, I would try to keep it as short as possible. I contacted my sister's boyfriend and told him about her gossiping about his patients. I have no proof, but I told him the information and managed to remember. He didn't confirm or deny that those details are true, but I guess they were, as hearing about it was enough for him to break up with my sister. All hell broke loose. She had to move out from his house back to our parents' place, which made my parents really unhappy. From what I learned before my parents decided they hate me for what I did, my sister somehow got an access to her now ex-boyfriend's work laptop, which is a crime, by the way. She almost jeopardized his career, and I know he tried to sue her. I don't know the details because by then I was already officially disowned and blocked by my parents. The rest of my family also isn't too thrilled with me because everyone was wishing for a doctor, lawyer, or psychologist to join the family. Honestly, at first I was grieving the loss of my parents and even sister, but as months go by, I feel better and better. I'm currently attending the university almost 4 hours away and living in a dormitory. And while I do miss coming home to my parents, I've realized they had a lot to do with my mental health deteriorating due to their obvious favoritism. I'm happy to get out of my system. OMG, she did what? Oh man, OP, you 100% did the right thing. Like, the hair on the back of my neck is standing up right now, thinking about what she would have read in the file if that were my psychologist. That's such an awful thing for her to do. On behalf of all her ex-boyfriend's patients, thank you. You protected them from something they hopefully never need to find out they needed protecting from. I was just as terrified as you are. The things she said during that dinner was really detailed. Not some vague, there is this patient that has this problem, but more like, there is a woman named XYZ who works at the school and has this problem. Not one person at a table, aside from me, saw a problem with that. So thank you for this comment. It actually means a lot to me, even if I know deep down that I did the right thing. Damn, that's wild. She may have already ruined his career. By law, he has to inform the patients of the breach, which could lead them to firing him and spreading the news. He could be fired if he's with a company/group, and they're extra risk-averse. If he hadn't sued her, he'd be risking his license. This is all just gross. Your sister needs a new therapist, and not to date. Wow. Sister should have had charges brought against her. She violated confidential files. Your sister is a POS, and any family member taking her side is also. I'm pretty sure her ex was trying to sue her, but I don't know what came out of it. At this point, I'm afraid that reaching out to any member of my family would be like sticking a hand into a beehive. As an aside, I'm sure you realize she wanted you to have a session with him so she could read his session notes. Stay away from her, literally forever. Oh yeah, I'm aware of this. She wasn't even trying to hide it, to be honest. She accused me of going behind her back to contact her ex-boyfriend because he was very professional after learning about everything, told me he can't have me as a client for ethical reasons, and gave me few recommendations, which she saw as some gotcha moment, saying I must be faking not feeling well, and I'm afraid she will learn about it. Wow, your sister seems like a nightmare, and one that completely lacks critical thinking skills. I can't even understand the mental gymnastics she had to go through to think that the result of her boyfriend saying no to the session for ethical reasons is you must be faking not feeling well. That's just so dumb. I almost feel bad for her. Her IQ must be depressingly low. Last story. I lost my best friend because I reported her child predator stepson. This happened in 2019. My friend of 10 years told me her stepson, about 20 or 21, was being investigated for exposing himself to school kids near their school. Like he was literally waiting for kids to get out of school and had his junk in his hand in his car so they could see him. He was waiting for a court date when she called me freaking out because he was on the news as wanted because he had touched a 10 to 11-year-old girl in a store. I immediately Googled the incident and saw his mugshot as a person of interest for touching a little girl in the toys section of a Target store. I immediately called a detective. The news gave a number that if anyone knew this person who fit this description, they should call it. I told the detective I knew who this person was, and that he was waiting a trial for exposing himself to school children. I told the detective his name, and gave him the number of my friend and said that was his stepmom. My friend called me perplexed that a detective called her, and she didn't know how he got her number. I played dumb for about a month, then I couldn't hold it in any longer. When she asked me how he knew her number, I told her I called him, that I was accountable to the community and to that little girl who he tried to grab. I told her that if her stepson had a personal computer at her house, she should turn it over because it probably had materials on it involving children. That he was sick and deserved to go to jail. Things were never the same between us after that. She disowned me as a friend, told me she couldn't trust me anymore. She said she was trying to help him and that he could recover from his impulsive behavior. That a therapist said there was hope in the future for him. I have a hard time believing that someone who is attracted to kids can recover from that and live a normal life. I don't know, maybe they can, but I don't think they're safe in the community around kids. I don't hide my identity here. I don't care honestly. I believe what I did was the right thing to do. If I never talk to her again, I will still feel like I did the right thing. We must protect our kids. Now for the comments. I agree that you absolutely 100% did the right thing. It sucks that you lost a friend, but you are truly better off without her in your life if she is the type of person willing to hide/cover for a child predator. I know people are willing to go to great lengths sometimes to protect their kids/stepkids, but Jesus, there is a line, and pedos are way over it. Anyone willing to knowingly put every other person's children at risk just to save their own is not worthy having you as their friend. I'd wager she was never truly Opie's friend if she bailed on them after that. Friend was 100% an enabler and probably a sociopath. She should have helped him before he went to touch a minor. I hate people like your friend who blame everyone but the person who was in the wrong. Exactly. I know that in Europe, there are programs for people who feel attracted to minors, where they can get free therapy to help them to never act on it. That's the keyword here. The stepson already acted on his impulses more than once and traumatized little kids. He has to answer for that. Exactly. Many people who feel that kind of attraction were themselves assaulted as kids. Many mental health professionals consider this kind of attraction as a mental health disorder, which it is. Healthy, normal adult brains are not interested in kids. Having the thoughts and seeking help so they don't act on them is brave. The key though is that they do not act on them. Stepson might have had something awful happen to him as a kid. He might be mentally unwell. But in the end, he did act on these thoughts. And multiple minors were traumatized because of it. He has to live with the consequences of that. If stepmom wants to help him, she can fight for him to be institutionalized instead of imprisoned. But at the end of the day, he harmed multiple children. If he goes to prison, that's on him, not Opie. You did the right thing. While the police were looking for an unidentified perp, he was free to attack other defenseless children. He was looking for his third victim until he was caught. Again. He did the right thing, maybe even saved his life from an irate family member. The therapist said that he might be okay in the future. That's after sentencing, jail time, and lots of therapy. 20 years in the future with a lot of hard work on his part and oversight by doctors, therapists, and probation officers, he might get better. I doubt he will ever be given a clean bill of health and permission to oversee little children, but he might get better. You are better off without that friend who will hide a pedo stepson who's attacked a child and being actively sought for violating another. She's the relative who will encourage a victim not to tell because their molester was family and let the crime continue. The perp isn't the only sick one in that family. Thank you. Update: thank you everyone for your comments and sharing your experiences and for your willingness to do the same thing. More people like this, please. None of that matters, and I feel great about this after hearing from all of you. Thank you for listening and lending support and friendship.
My sister ruined my life because our parents favor me over her. I, 25 female, have always been in competition with my sister, 27 female, since I can remember. I was a baby born after a miscarriage our mom had, so my parents were very happy and shifted their attention away from my sister and onto me. I want to clarify that I never took joy in this, and I knew I was favored over my sister due to unfair circumstances. I tried to connect with her growing up because I considered her a really cool person, but she always seemed uninterested, which only made my parents chew her out for hurting my feelings. Obviously, that only caused her to hate me more. When I turned 15, I completely stopped engaging with her. My parents didn't push for us to be friends either and kept their attention on me, which has always bugged me because who wants to be cuddled and surveilled 24/7? Anyway, things went alright for me and I eventually got myself into a good college, and my parents offered to pay for everything: food, rent, school supplies, etc., since I wanted to move out of their house. I wanted to be independent, so I declined. But when my sister heard of this, she was understandably mad, as they had refused to pay for anything, and told her she needed to learn responsibility by paying for her own things. She blew up at my parents, but mostly at me for stealing away the attention of our parents her entire life and making her miserable. I tried to explain that I agreed that they were bad parents and that she deserved better, but she just told me to shut my whole mouth and that she didn't need my sympathy. My parents forced her to apologize and threatened to cut contact if she didn't. I agree that was harsh, but I understand how frustrated she must have felt her whole life, so I don't hold it against her. Since she didn't have much of a support system other than them, she sent me a super long apology over text and tried to mend things, though it was obvious she only did it just because she was forced to. During the first few months of college, I ended up meeting a guy named John, 26 male, and we started dating shortly after. Everything just clicked, and it seemed like he knew my every thought. At my 20th birthday party, I introduced him to my family and everything seemed to go well. I kept my family and John separate because my parents were always super nosy and my sister seemed extremely judgmental when I would bring company. This time around, she was super friendly though. Looking back, my sister was definitely a little too touchy with him, but I chalked that up to her just wanting to overcompensate to mend our relationship further. After I graduate, John ended up proposing and I said yes, as I was head over heels in love. We decided on having a wedding once we had secured good paying jobs, and things seems to be perfect between us. Flash forward to 3 weeks ago, and I got the most gut-wrenching message of my life. It was from my sister, telling me that she was pregnant and it was John's. In addition to that, she sent screenshots of messages and explicit images between the two. They professed their love for each other multiple times, and John said that my sister was the best he'd ever had in his life, despite him saying the same to me. It had been going on for majority of the years we'd been together. To say I sobbed my eyes out would be an insulting understatement. I asked her how she could do this to me, and she replied, "Now you know how it feels to get your whole life ripped away from you. He loves me more, and I'll make sure he leaves your sorry butt for me and our baby. Go cry to our parents and see if I care," and then blocked me before I could respond. I screenshotted a lot of it before she did. The best part I used to call my fiancé came home hours later from work and saw me crying. He begged to know what was wrong and tried to comfort me, but I blew up at him and kicked him out. It's my apartment that we share. He admitted to the affair over text and said he loved me but loved my sister too and had to be there for his child, so the engagement is off. His brother came and took all his stuff, and he hasn't even given me an apology for any of this. I've been crying for almost a month straight, and all I want to do is beat the living crap out of my sister. But I know I would go to jail, especially since she's pregnant. I used to look up to her so much, and I thought that things were finally looking up. But then she decided to backstab me. And for what? Mommy and daddy's love that I never wanted in the first place? I barely even liked my parents either because of their behavior. But I'm the villain? For Pete's sake, you would think an almost 30-year-old woman would seek therapy or talk to me directly about her resentment. But no, she had to sabotage my life for the sake of hers being awful. I can't even feel any sympathy for her anymore, and I just want to go away forever. I have extremely alarming thoughts, but I've just resorted to locking myself in my room all day since I work remotely, and it's calmed down in the last few days. My sister unblocks me occasionally to keep rubbing it in my face that he chose her over me, sending picture of them together and her baby bump. I've already blocked her to make sure she leaves me alone. She's a grown woman for God's sake, gloating like a child. If he's willing to cheat on me for so long, I feel incredibly bad for their baby, but definitely not for her. I haven't told my parents yet, and I'm unsure how to even go about it. They'd 100% take my side, but they aren't good people, so I don't want their crappy support. I haven't told my friends, and I don't have a therapist. I want to tell someone, but this is so incredibly humiliating that I can't bring myself to do much but cry and drown myself in work. I saw myself growing old with him and having my sister as a bridesmaid. Like I really thought we'd grown past our issues, but now they're together and left me to fend for myself. Again, this is so goddamn humiliating, but I need to talk to someone. Now for the top comments. Your sister just destroyed her whole life to mess with yours. You will move on from this. Her? She's stuck with a man she doesn't love, just the man she used, that she knows is a cheater, and she's bringing her child into this. She will never be able to get past what she just did to herself. Is she going to brag about how she met him to her kid? His family knows who you are. This will follow her. Her whole life she has made about you, her childhood, her adult years, her future child's life. The fact that you never blamed your sister for being mad at you shows how emotionally mature and compassionate you are. One day you are going to be married to a faithful man that you love more than you thought possible, and you will look at the kids you share, and you will know that your sister just gave you the biggest gift. And you will know it's something that she can never have because she chose to be hateful to someone who didn't do anything to deserve it. Block them. Change your number if you have to. Tell whoever you need to the truth, and tell mutual friends who don't want to know anything about them. And never answer him when he reaches out with regret, because he will. For sure, OP, listen to this. She is and will always be miserable. Until she is happy with herself, she will never be happy with anyone. When her kid misbehaves, it will be your fault for making her go behind your back and get pregnant by your ex-fiancé. When it cheats on her, it will be your fault. All of her choices will always be your fault. When she's still not happy after trying to ruin your life, it will be your fault. She did not make these choices out of love or respect or kindness, and therefore she will never have real love, respect, or kindness in return. I feel horribly sorry for the kid, either going to be neglected or egregiously spoiled. One day you will realize the giant gift she gave you, preventing you from marrying that total A-hat. You will be happy again, and it will make her even more miserable. She's already really miserable. No person actually happy in the relationship reaches out to someone to say how great it is. Honestly, you should thank her the next time she texts before you block her. Get under her skin once. Thank you for saving me. If he was tempted by you, it just means that he would have been tempted by someone else down the line, and I'm not stuck with someone who could be disloyal to me. I'm not tied to him by children, so I have a fresh, clean slate. I hope you two are so happy together, and then block. I'd also mention that his lack of loyalty is her problem now, and to think about that every time he goes to the gym, works late, or fails to show up for something, because it's only a matter of time. Good luck eventually being a single mom. Every single person in your life is trash. Let them all go. Get therapy, move away, have your own family somewhere else. Your own friends, another boyfriend, everything. Just get away. Find a therapist now. You really need one. Don't be ashamed. You didn't ask for this. Your sister is mentally ill. Trust me, if you find someone else, should try to seduce them too. This happiness won't last long when she sees you happy again with someone else. Trust me, if you find someone else, should try to seduce them too. This would be my fear as well, that she would try with every future partner till the day she passed. And even if she couldn't seduce them, that she'd just lie and say she did just to mess with Opie. Sis and John planted a forever seed of doubt. Last story. Woman obsessed with my husband tried to break up my marriage, got hit by karma. 16 years ago, my husband and I were married with a 1-year-old little girl. We were high school sweethearts that went to different schools, met junior year and made it work. Where we went to different school, I met John through my husband, but never met Sarah or Cindy. Still haven't met them in real life. One night, my daughter and I spent the night at my sister's house with her 2 kids because her husband was out of town for work and she was heavily pregnant and needed help the night he would be gone. That night, my husband's best friend John, who has been friends since 2nd grade, came over to our house to hang out with him. Next day, my husband told me John's ex-girlfriend Sarah and her best friend Cindy came over to see John. John was already with a new girlfriend, Sandy. And that while John slept with Sarah in our spare bedroom, Cindy had tried to sleep with my tipsy husband. He kicked them out like 2 a.m. My husband turned Cindy down, but apparently she had always had a crush on my husband. For a year afterward, she would call his phone. Didn't know how she got his number, but changed his number twice. She kept getting it. Calling, playing music, saying lewd things. Even sending emails saying how our daughter needs to be put down so she didn't end up being a witch like me. That they would jump me and bash my daughter's head in if they saw us out alone. Kept sending updates on where I went, asked how my doctor's appointment was, how his tournament was. Creepy stalker stuff. For the longest time, I refused to leave the house without my husband because I was seriously concerned they would hurt my daughter. For a year I felt trapped in my home. I vividly remember being 3 weeks postpartum after an emergency C-section with our 2nd child and just holding my baby and sliding down the wall to sit and cry. Because she had called again. It was 2 or 3 times a week she would call. She always blocked her number and sent me emails from an anonymous email address. For a while, I thought maybe my husband was talking to her. How else would she be getting his new numbers? I lost so much faith in him. I know he was mad about the situation and would scream into the phone to leave us alone. I saved every call log, email, and recorded what I could. I sent an email to her throwaway and said I knew who she was and that I was going to the police for harassment. Spoiler alert, I already tried, but there wasn't enough evidence because she blocked her number and nothing traced back to her. However, we were 20, she was 19, and it scared her enough to leave us alone. 3 months of peace later, and his best friend John came over with Sandy for dinner. Sandy and I were friends, and would talk about everything with the crazies, as we called them. She asked how everything with Cindy was going, and I asked her how she forgave John for sleeping with Sarah. She lost it because she didn't know. He lies, says he didn't, and that my husband got it wrong, that they were just talking. Sandy didn't believe him, and then John screamed at me. This is why I kept giving Cindy's number. She would be a better match for him. My husband threw John out, and they yelled at each other outside for a while. Turns out, John was upset my husband wasn't going out and partying with him. John thought it was me not allowing my husband to go. But that wasn't true. My husband didn't want to go. He preferred to be home with me and our daughter. The few times I went out with John, I practically had to kick him out of the house to get him to go. John couldn't understand it was my husband who didn't want to go clubbing. My husband has never been a clubbing guy. He hates people and loud music. He kicked John out of our lives that night and husband hasn't spoken to him since. We changed his number one last time and never had any other issues. For her part, Cindy got some serious karma. I couldn't help but laugh when I learned she married a guy a year later, had a kid and got cheated on, and then he left her for another woman while she was pregnant. I usually don't enjoy others' misfortunes. However, after the hell she put us through, especially during my pregnancy with our 2nd child, I laughed when I heard. For John, he married Sandy, has 2 kids now, and tried to get back in contact with us 13 years ago after he had his first kid. He wanted to apologize because apparently after having his own kid, he realized how screwed up he was, doing what he did. He called my husband's parents because they still had a landline at a time. My in-laws had already been told years earlier what happened and that under no circumstances were they to give out our numbers to him. So we went to my in-laws, and my husband called him back and told him to never contact our family again. Side note, when husband called John back, we found out Cindy wasn't following us like we thought. John would tell her where we were going. So screw you, John. You and that psycho Cindy. I can't believe Sandy married him. She's very forgiving, definitely. No, she just believed him that nothing happened between him and his ex that night. He convinced her it was a misunderstanding. Did you not hear him confess that he was feeding your information to a woman who threatened your child's life? That seems like something that would make you run. Sandy had already walked out of the house before he screamed that at me. I have no idea what she knew. You didn't tell afterwards? I called her the next day, other than, hey, I didn't get to speak. She kept saying my husband was wrong, that John would never cheat on her, and refused to listen to anything I tried to say and then hung up on me. I haven't spoken to her since. That was 15 years ago. Sandy is the biggest freaking idiot. Perpetual doormat. I'm afraid she's being abused. When we knew them, Sandy always wore the pants of the relationship. What she said went. John was a master manipulator, but she always got her way, no matter what, from what we saw. John only had his grandmother, and Sandy had a huge family. They moved because her parents did, so they would be close to them. So I don't think she was abused. Her dad would have already unalived John if he had. And John's grandmother moved with them. I honestly have no idea what their marriage is like. We blocked their social media after we joined Facebook, and they sent friend requests. Heard they moved 4 states away about 10 years ago. Well, the end of this story was satisfying to read, I can tell you. I'm sorry she ruined the first few years with your babies. It still affected me for years. I was always worried about taking both kids out by myself. I waited for my husband, mom, or mother-in-law to go with me. It sucked big time, and I still had anxiety when I went into crowded places with my kids. A few years ago, I got my permit to carry, so I don't worry anymore. My husband and I met through his ex-girlfriend. I was dating a guy she knew and was friends with on Facebook. She showed my now husband my pic and sent me a message saying he thought I was cute. His ex had a tendency to introduce him to acquaintances of hers, knowing they wouldn't work and he would come back to her afterwards. This time that didn't happen. We hit it off right away, and from that point forward it was always us being exclusive. Flash forward a couple of months, she invites us to dinner with her and her boyfriend. I was excited to finally meet her. The entire time she completely ignored me, instead wanting to discuss their relationship and how much fun they had, with me and her boyfriend witnessing this. It got to the point I wanted to climb across the table. Afterwards, I told my boyfriend if he wanted to stay friends with her, I understood. I wanted to be neutral, since they had years-long friendship. To his credit, he stopped talking to her. 3 days ago, she sent a message to my husband on Facebook and he blocked her. We have been together 10 years, married for 8.